And we are back. So I apologize. The live stream I set up, the Xfinity internet went out all over the whole house. Weird. Although, doesn't matter. This is going to be very brief. This follows up the morning live stream that we had. It's about 3-ish hours long. It is on Rumble and Kick and YouTube. So if you missed that live, just go back to one video and watch that. It was very powerful. It started off with Creighton Waters making some statements. Alex Murdaugh did take a 27-year plea deal for all of his financial crimes. Judge Newman made sure to kind of clarify, like, are we done with all the financial crimes? Sounds like that's the deal. The only other outstanding charges that Alex still faces, that's my understanding, is the charges associated with the roadside uh, fake unaliving attempt with cousin Eddie. So in pertaining to the financial crimes, 27-year plea deal, which both Alex and Judge Newman and the attorneys all said 27 years is quite a long time for him to be put away for those crimes. So after Creighton Waters talked, then the victims took turns along with their attorneys speaking to Alex directly. Lots of tears. These people, he screwed over so many people. After that, then Alex made quite a lengthy statement. So that's at the end of part 1. I tried to, on the thumbnails, put part 1, part 2, AM, PM. Again, this is very short. I started the live stream and like 15 minutes in, the whole internet friggin' dumped on me. So we're just going to watch it as a replay. And it doesn't look like it's very long. I've got it queued up here. But some of the people were in the chat and I were talking. So I want to thank Miss Dina. Thank you so much for joining me on Kick. You Wrong was also in the chat on Rumble. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I've been taking a little time off. I've been working on my normal job. So let's just take care of this. Like I said, I thought Alex was, he seemed genuinely heartfelt at the end of his statement. He did praise the people. He's got 800 and some days sober. He praised the people that helped him get sober. And I felt that, he deserves a sentence for these financial crimes and for what he did to the families. So please, if anything, if you don't want to watch the whole hearing, please at least fast forward to the end of part 1 and listen to Alex's statement. So let's get settled here. What happens is there's one more victim impact statement that's short in the beginning. Then the Creighton Waters does ask for more time than 27 years and asks the judge to accept the plea agreement. The judge does accept the plea agreement, then asks Alex to stand up to the bench to give him a tongue lashing. Judge Newman speaks so slowly, and I'm going to bump up the speed for that. So here we go.
Thank you. You may be seated.
He walks in. We're going to fast forward. Then Creighton Waters says something like, victim wants to speak. And then
Fortis? We had a victim arrive. She was working arrive during Mr. Murdaugh's presentation to the court, and we would ask him, the defense, I believe, has agreed to let her address the court.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Yes.
Okay, so this is the last of the victims making a very short statement.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for just,
Does the mic work, or you're not speaking into it?
yes.
Speak a little loud. Speak a little loud.
Good afternoon. I just want to thank everybody for giving me this chance. You Judge Newman. I want to address Mr. Murdaugh. Mr. Murdaugh, it's been years since my mother, Blondell Gary, had passed in an ambulance accident on Old Sheldon Church Road. When he took the case, I trusted you. I really trusted you, like a lot. Like I had a lot of faith in you, because my friend Miss P, she had told me about you, and so I entrusted you. But you know what? Today, I thank God. You know, God gave me this time just to tell you that I forgive you. I forgive you. And I hope and pray that you would look to him and ask him truly in your heart to forgive you of everything that you have done, all of your sins, because what you did to all of the families is just so wrong. It's wrong. So just ask him, just ask him to forgive you. I forgive you. Okay? Just know that I do. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Also, another reason to watch the morning session.
Your Honor, that would be the state's presentation. I would just say in closing that I think Your Honor just got a taste of what all these victims have gotten. And I think that he talked about these special recollections. It's good to know he has recollections about some things. But he's good. He can look people in the eye. But we've seen it all before. We saw it for 2 days at the murder trial. We saw it in Dave Owen's car. And all of these victims have seen it over and over again in their interactions with him and in his office. But even as we heard that entire soliloquy, even now, his only concern, the main thing he was concerned about, was how he felt others perceived him, his perception in the mind of others. And I'll just close with saying what I said to you right before sentencing in the murder trial, that when he sat there and looked all these victims in the eye, it was the same thing that he had done when he stole from them. It's the same thing that he's done in his interactions with police. And the reality is that not one single person who thought they knew this man, and there were so many who thought they did, not one single person knew who he really was. And Your Honor, it's time for, at least in these proceedings, respectfully, for the system to be done with him, and we would ask you to accept the 27 years. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pause just for a moment to say that this victim, so the very first victim statement, try to remember, I'm old. Oh, the very first one was Eric Bland, the attorney for the Gloria Satterfield family. He spoke first. He's got a turd sideways the size of Texas over Alex Murdaugh. I think he's kind of an opportunist, in my opinion. But like I said, I mean, as far as these financial crimes go, 27 years is quite a lengthy sentence. It's actually like a new like high bar, like that's way more. And Alex says in his statement, again, go and watch the end of the AM session if you missed it. He does say, as soon as this plea, I mean, I didn't, I took it right away. I know I've hurt all of you. Everybody was crying this morning. Everybody. Alex is crying. All the victims are crying. He's asking for forgiveness. And this victim, as well as after Eric Bland spoke, then one of the Satterfield boys, because one of the sons has like cognitive issues. He's like a vulnerable adult, I think is the PC way of saying it. So the other brother spoke, and at the end of his, he said, "I forgive you, Alex, for what you've done." Then Gloria Satterfield's sister talked. She couldn't bring herself to forgive him, but it was just so powerful. They're quoting scriptures. Then there was another woman. I didn't catch the spelling of her name, but her attorney spoke first, and then she spoke next. Then one of the law enforcement people, Jordan James, I want to say JJ. Alex called him JJ. He's crying. His wife spoke. Tinsley, of course, had to get his 2 cents in. But it was really powerful, and I thought Alex. I mean, he is clearly guilty of all of these things and the harm he's done. I thought he did. I thought you know, he took the agreement without any type of like negotiation, and I felt was heartfelt in his apology. I don't know. Uh, but I'm also on the side of the fence that I don't think the state proved that he acted alone in killing his wife Maggie and son by himself. I never bought that. I think it was vigilante justice more than likely, or do I think that it was in retribution of Alex's crimes? Probably. I mean, I think he had, but I genuinely don't think he planned it or executed it. That's just my opinion. Anyway, so now there's just about 20-ish minutes. Judge Newman is going to ask Alex to come up to the bench and give him a tongue lashing.
Your Honor, we have nothing further to say except we urge you to adopt the Attorney General's position on accepting the negotiated plea.
Yes, sir. Where there's a negotiated sentence.
I was going to say Tinsley and Bland and, of course, Creighton Waters, are now trying to say, okay, we negotiated this 27-year sentence, which is, again, it's a lot of time for the financial crimes. As many financial crimes as there were, it's a lot of time. And he accepted that with no negotiation. He's like, yeah, I deserve it. In his statement, he also says he's going to, try his hardest to do his time and serve others as much as he can. I do think he's remorseful. Hate me, please. Don't hate me, but anyway, but then I think it's really weird how, they negotiated this thing 27 years, and then Blandy and freaking Tinsley and Creighton Waters are all now like, accept it, but maybe give him more time. So Judge Newman's not going to say, well, when it's negotiated, that's pretty much what I just, accept it. That's it.
As I stated earlier, either the court accepts the guilty plea and impose the exact sentence that the parties have negotiated, or the court will not accept the guilty plea. We've now spent 2 days listening to the recitation by the state and the defense, and I will accept the negotiated sentence and accept the guilty plea. Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come around for sentencing.
And I did just bump this up to 1.5 because he talks super slow. I'll slow it down if anybody else speaks.
It was September of 2021 when the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court assigned me to preside over the pending investigations involving the various offenses that you are being investigated for, initially including these financial crimes and the murder cases. And I have lived with this case now for over 2 years, and I have 34 days left before active retirement. And after imposing this sentence, your life will continue. I will turn the page and leave you behind. You're quite an enigma, a person that many of us thought we.
I do want to briefly point out, again, we started this live stream, but then my internet crashed, so I did hear probably most of it. Judge Newman, his son died right before Alex's murder trial. Judge Newman has such contempt for Alex that, I think some of this is personal in here. Like, I'm retiring in 30 some days. Your life is going to move on. And I'm going to, forget about you. Okay, well, that's fine. But that does sound personal to me. I mean, I guess maybe I should just keep my mouth shut.
We knew. And as I stated earlier, I can only recall you as being a fun-loving, happy person. I've never seen you sad. I've never seen you being anything other than a friendly, caring person. And it's so disappointing to see you again in this setting. I believe the last time we saw each other and you were not in jail was at a conference when you were poolside having a good time. And as it turns out, that was a couple of months after the passing of your wife and son. But you were having a good time. Made nothing of it, and then the Labor Day weekend events occurred, and next thing I know, I'm assigned to preside over all of your matters. Not on your matters, but others as well. And we started out with over 100 charges, indictments against various folks, and we've whittled that down to just a handful, outstanding. And I'm happy to turn the page and turn, not turn the remnants over to anyone else, but to certainly turn over anything pending against you to someone else. It's been said that these are white-collar offenses. I've never had that distinction. I've never thought of it that way. I've looked at criminal offenses as criminal offenses. 3 property crimes in South Carolina, you can get 10 years in prison. People have gotten 10 years for shoplifting, third offense. I've sent people into retirement for committing of criminal offenses over and over and over again. But I never thought of it as being a white-collar offense. Have had employees do embezzlement, church secretaries stole money, preachers stolen money, many offenses. But I never draw a distinction between a violent crime and other crimes. Certainly the law makes a distinction, and many violent crimes are non-parole offenses. The plea I'm accepting with you, you must serve 85% of the time. The parties have indicated that they are the victims, to the extent that they can be called victims there. That's my preferred term for the group of people who have been preyed upon or victimized. They've all indicated that they would like for the court to accept the negotiated sentence. It is a stern sentence. The question was asked, what kind of animal are you? You're an enigmatic person. I don't know that you understand yourself. What comes to mind is a young man that I sentenced to death penalty for killing a police officer and setting his body on fire. And though personally I was opposed to capital punishment, he was sentenced to death. And in writing up that sentence report, I concluded that he was heartless. He was just empty. And when I see you and I listen to you and I reflect on all that I've seen since being appointed, assigned to these cases, you come closest to that young man. Being empty, I don't see anything. I tried to reach you at sentencing in the other case. I've listened to you here today, and I don't see anything there. Hopefully something will emerge within your spirit, within your soul.
I just want to point out he does have to serve 85% of 27 years, which is about 23 years. Uh, when I listened to this the first time, and Judge Newman likened him to the guy that he sentenced to death, even though he doesn't really believe in capital punishment. He feels Alex is empty. I don't know. This is just like when I watched the other the murder trial. I thought he was genuine. Judge Newman finds him empty. I don't know. Everybody in the whole gallery was the victims of these financial crimes in part 1 of this were crying. So, I don't know.
Certainly, being a person of your age and intelligence and experience, you have a lot to offer to the people that you encounter on a daily basis in the institution, and I think it's admirable that you've indicated that you will help them and continue to try to do good. You'll certainly have a lot of opportunity to do that. As we look at all of us, none of us are perfect. Many of us do things that we shouldn't do. It's just unimaginable to me that you have done some of the things that you've done, and whether it's you or someone you become upon using drugs or through the process of just committing the crimes over and over the period of years. I don't know. I don't even know who I'm speaking to now. But being a person of power and influence, and the question is raised of what type of character do you have? A person who would prey upon folks who are vulnerable and who are of a lower perceived estate than you, how you would prey upon those people who you say you love, and you capitalize on a disparity of what you have versus what they had and what they need and what they desired. In my years, I know of no greater joy as a lawyer that I've had during my 47 years as a lawyer than the joy of having a satisfied client, of delivering good results for a client and experiencing that joy with them. I can think of no greater joy than I've experienced in being able to deliver on behalf of a client. And I'm sure you've experienced that joy as well, until you decided that the only joy you're concerned about is your own. I take no joy at all in imposing the sentence, but it is what it is. And you'll have to suffer the consequences of your acts, continue to suffer the consequences, and hopefully some good will come out of you as you move forward. There are a number of counts here, a number of indictments, and you'll get an individual sentence as to each one. On indictment just 4727, for money laundering, the sentence is 20 years. Obtaining signature of property by false pretenses, the sentence is 10 years. The second count of obtaining property by false pretenses, count 7, 10 years. Breach of trust with fraudulent intent, value more than $10,000, the sentence is 10 years. Another, obtaining property by false pretenses, count on indictment 4730, count 4, sentence is 10 years. Money laundering on indictment, same indictment, count 5, sentence is 20 years. Money laundering, count 8 of that indictment, the sentence is 20 years. Breach of trust with fraudulent intent, indictment number 32, count 1, sentence is 5 years. Money laundering under indictment number 33, count 2, the sentence is 20 years. Money laundering under indictment 34, count 2, the sentence is 20 years. Forgery, value $10,000 or more under indictment 35, count 5, the sentence is 10 years. Computer crimes under indictment 36, the sentence is 5 years. breach of trust with fraudulent intent under indictment ending in 37, the sentence is 10 years. All those sentences will run concurrent with each other. Money laundering under indictment ending in 38, count 2, the sentence is 7 years consecutive to sentences previously stated. Under indictment 01, 4701, breach of trust with fraudulent intent, the sentence is 10 years concurrent. Breach of trust, fraudulent intent under indictment ending in 02, count 1, sentence is 10 years. Under indictment ending in 10, count 1, sentence is 5 years concurrent. Money laundering in indictment ending in 23, count 3, the sentence is 20 years. Under indictment ending 24, obtaining goods under false pretenses, the sentence is 10 years. Willful intent to evade or defeat payment of taxes under indictment 34, sentence is 5 years concurrent. You have one 20-year sentence and a consecutive 7-year sentence for a total sentence of 27 years. Most of the offenses pled to are serious offenses under the law, subject to the 3 strikes law. You are given credit for time served pursuant to section 241340 to be calculated by the South Carolina Department of Corrections. I think that completes the sentence. Anything further regarding this sentence?
Your Honor, just for clarification, and I think the sentencing sheets reflect this, but he's got all those sentences concurrent for 20,
Yes.
and then there's a consecutive sentence. So he's got a 27-year sentence, 85% parole
Yes.
eligible, max out,
Yes,
right?
and it's reflected on the sentencing sheet.
Yes, sir.
Any comment about that, Mr. Waters or Mr.?
That is correct, Your Honor. There's 20 years at 85% and then a 7 at 85%. And again, those are no parole offenses, meaning got to do 85%
Right.
or more, depending on how he behaves.
That's the sentence of the court. Mr. Murdaugh, any final comments?
No, sir. I will just reiterate what I did say to all of you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
Judge.
to
Thank you,
you.
Your Honor, and enjoy being with you.
Yes, sir. Very well. Enjoyed being with you as well.
You're not under oath.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Very good. Thank you all for a job well done.
You're not under oath, meaning he knows that the judge is lying. All right, so there we have it. Off he goes to prison again. Eek, that's frightening looking. I was working this morning. All right, so I did look on the first AM video. Again, I live streamed it on Kick and Rumble and YouTube. So real quickly, can I put this up here? Okay, so it's this one here. Here's the one we're doing now. It's this one here. We started off with Court TV, but right around I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to timestamp the whole entire thing, but it's right around this 2:30, 2:31-ish mark is where Alex begins speaking. Again, I was working this morning and then I was just going to record it because I didn't think it was going to be all day, and it was all day. So I switched gears quickly. So now I got to get back and get my work done. So, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to go through the whole thing and timestamp it. But it started off with Creighton Waters speaking. And then, like I said, we were watching Court TV at first, and then I caught a live stream from like a local Fox channel or something. So Creighton Waters talks in the beginning, and then the victims start speaking. Oh, and I showed you my Sam video. This is funny from Thanksgiving. Okay, so right around the 1.5 hour mark is when Eric Bland starts speaking. That's the beginning. So from like 1.5 hours to 2.5 hour mark are the victim impact statements. If you have a chance, please watch those as well. And then Alex starts speaking. Honestly, everybody was crying. Everyone was crying. And I tried to make sure that on the bottom of the screen, I was putting in like who the people were. I don't know if you can see that. No, the slider thing is covering it up. So, and then Alex speaks for almost an hour. Almost an hour. I do recommend that you watch it. So with that, I will say goodbye. Oh, and also, if you didn't get a chance, last night I did a live stream on the Derek Chauvin, a new documentary that just came out from Alpha News and an independent filmmaker here in Minneapolis regarding, it's called The Fall of Minneapolis. I can't verbally tell you where to go because YT has new rules. You can't redirect to there. That you can't redirect to sites that they deem unsafe. Cough, cough, cough. Bullshit. Okay, so the live stream we did last night was the interview on Megyn Kelly. So this movie's been out almost 2 weeks now, but the producer and director Liz Collin, who is married to a friend of mine, Bob Kroll, he's the former lieutenant, Minneapolis Police Department lieutenant, over 30 years of service. And was also the Police Officer Federation union president. So Liz Collin wrote a book, and so this is based on her book. So Liz Collin, married to my friend Bob, and also the producer, director, JC Shea, were on Megyn Kelly for like a good hour the day before this documentary came out regarding George Floyd. And basically, you've all been lied to. If you have been living in the underground world of news, you know most of it was BS. So I had told Bob, sent Bob a message, and I said, "Boy, is your wife brave for taking on this?" It is just remarkable. It's about 2 hours. It is free to watch. They did crowdfund the documentary so that financial reasons would not prohibit you from watching it. So we just watched the Megyn Kelly interview underneath Rumble. Underneath the video on Rumble is the link to the Megyn Kelly interview if you don't want my commentary in between it. And then also underneath Rumble is the link to the documentary. My ex-boyfriend, Al Williams, is in the documentary several times. I think his shirt looks really familiar. He's not known to have like super fancy dress shirts or anything. But I could swear if I found my birthday pictures from like 10 years ago, it's probably in there. Anyway, but that doesn't mean that I am biased and think that the documentary is BS because it's not. It's actually super accurate. I am going to ask Bob again if he could please look at iPod's The Weatherman 3 Alfred Floyd video because iPod, he put that out like the end of 2020, and I swear he was pretty dead on, not really necessarily with like the things that he surmised about Derek Chauvin knowing George Floyd. Um, None of that really panned out. But again, I mean, iPod did that 3 years ago. But I had asked Bob when that first came out if he could please watch it. I'm going to double check and see if he ever did watch it. I don't think he did. But the way the documentary shakes out and the way iPod ends his All for Floyd thing is, I think the two of those things need to like marry up because I think that might explain a little bit better, like why certain businesses were burned to the ground, why the third precinct was picked to be burned to the ground. But I do ask that you know, take the time to watch it because you've been lied to, number one. Number two, um, it just all like filled their narrative. It's just shocking. It's shocking how much propaganda we are fed on a daily basis. So there's that at the end of the Alex thing. I gotta get back to what I was doing this morning before I get in trouble. So with that, I'm not sure really what Crime Spice has planned, but if you could please like, follow, share, comment below. Um, I am working now to pay some bills. But I do plan on getting back to that audiobook that we were doing and figuring out what to do. If you could just write in the comment below, maybe like some suggestions on is there anything interesting? Oh, and Derek Chauvin actually, he was stabbed on Friday in jail, which is interesting because that was what, 9 days after the documentary came out. And if you go on Twitter and you type or X and type in Derek Chauvin stabbed or shanked or Derek Chauvin stab, there's a lot of people that are like, Derek Chauvin didn't stab himself. Huh, that's kind of interesting how this documentary came out. He's been, pretty untouched ever since then. The federal government made sure that he had basically no option to appeal other than one, and he is seeking an appeal through the United States Supreme Court, although that's not likely to get taken up. So it's just horrible. So if you have a chance to watch that. But I did just pick up Hulu. Hulu had a Black Friday special. There's a really great show called Missing on there. Um, so some of those cases we can talk about, people that are missing, still missing. Um, so I don't know if you want to go down the missing thing or if there's any like current trials that you want to talk about. I know there's some movement on the Delphi Richard Allen thing. Something was released yesterday, but there's so many people covering that. I don't have time really to cover stuff that's already being really well covered. So, but there is some really good stuff out there. And there was the one documentary series I watched on Netflix, Husband and Wife. Oh my God, it was so good. And then Prime Video also has it, like 3-part series. Now Netflix, I can't get on my computer because it's on my ex-husband's account on my Apple TV, but the Prime Video one is equally good. So I forget what the people's names are. They should be in jail. So I like if that's something you'd like me to do, just let me know. Alrighty. Well, you have a wonderful day. And I think this still says starting soon. It does. So just ignore the starting soon part. We will see you soon.